Hey, yo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in. My name is Percussive173. How we doing? How we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday night. I almost said it was Friday. The Guardians have been doing so well, they got my days mixed up. So how's everybody doing today? The Uwu's actually currently off there, Rio. So, but they'll come back. I promise they'll come back. When I start doing COD streams, I'm going to turn them back on. But today, I am very excited because I have a really incredible podcast that we're going to talk about. For a lot of you guys that aren't really sure about what happens behind the scenes, like during like esport events, we have somebody who can really, I'm excited. You'll get to meet him very shortly. But so today is going to be another PSP podcast. Hopefully everybody's having a phenomenal Saturday. And as I know I am, I know my Guardians are. I mean, we're about to win 2 back-to-back, so hoping we shut them out. He said, no, it means you go lurk now? Oh, well, I appreciate you even stopping in. But yeah, no, the Uwus will be back a different day, I promise. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I say we get started with the PSP podcast. So we're going to go ahead and start everything up. We're going to roll it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to the PSP Podcast, featuring your friendly host, Percussive173. Let's freaking go! I downed him! Oh, I got it! 508 meters! I'm pushing everything right now. He gets to Lockman. Dude, this Lockman is so good! Oh my god, I'm disgusting! So what do you think about that play, huh? What were your thoughts?
Not very smart, man. Not very smart, man.
It happens, man. Hey, well, come back. We'll try it again, okay?
Very smart, man.
It happens. Shit. I guess I'm just gonna shit on him. He's dead. Did I just ace? I just ace. Let's go.
Just take a funky jazz with him.
He's Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to have you be a part of the PSP Podcast. And I'm your friendly host, Percussive173, and let's have a freaking party. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into this incredible episode of the PSP Podcast. I'm your friendly host, Percussive173, where PSP stands for Perk, spreads positivity, because down here, this is a place where we laugh, where we vibe, and where we shine a spotlight on creators that are doing their thing. And today, we have an absolutely incredible guest. I'm very blessed to welcome on the one and only Big Rich X. He's with Rain, and he's a caster who brings the hype to the games. And not only does he cast, he also grinds as a gamer, and he's a content creator, and he's making his mark on the scene. So we're going to go ahead and dive a little bit into his journey. And without further ado, let's vibe on out. Let's welcome in Big Rich. How are we doing today?
Am fantastic. I cannot complain. Folks, I just got to say a huge thank you to the passionate, the patient, and dare I say the perky and playful percussive in the booth here today as we get ready to yap each other's ears off. I do it professionally, and I hopefully can do it full time someday, but it's nice to formally meet you, percussive, and of course your community, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to have you on, and we definitely would love to welcome you into the booth today as well. I do a little bit of casting type stuff on the side as well, but mostly I cast my own gameplay. At least that's how I kind of view it as a streamer. And I think it's really interesting to like have that type of mentality. So let's talk a little bit about you, man. Where did Big Rich come from, and what made you want to get into casting, or what made you want to get into content?
Well, I hail from a lowly and sometimes damaged state known as Ohio, but I mainly got into content from my days in college and started streaming from a console and a TV my parents gave me that maybe measured 40 inches. And then I sat in a very uncomfortable chair for a couple of months and was streaming to no one. This was during the height of, I'd probably say, like Fortnite and Ninja, and everybody started streaming Fortnite. Is like, wow, this can be seen as a legitimate career. And then I was the funny one or the class clown guy, and my friends was like, Rich, you should start streaming. Rich, you should get into this, or you should try. And 6-ish years later now, I've kept going. I'm upgraded my setup just a bit. Got a whole green screen. Got my armory background here. Got my mic all set up. 3 monitors. A custom built PC from NZXT. Streaming lights. The whole shebang. And it's just been really incredible. I've met some phenomenal people along the way, including my peeps at Rain Above. And now it's just about keeping things steady, trying to branch out into new content and new casts, new opportunities, and see where the whole journey takes me.
It's always awesome to like be able to see like where you start from like your beginning setup, and to kind of see like where things evolve. Like what's really funny is like I sat on a little chair with like a wooden background, and it was one of the most uncomfortable things ever. If you go back to my first streams, I actually had a gaming chair that I bought and I spent money on it. It was so uncomfortable that I had to throw it away. But the
worst setup I've ever had, or I could say technically had, is I had my PC and I had everything set up, but I didn't have a desk at the time. So when I moved in with my roommate right after college, we got a bunch of like IKEA boxes, and he told me about the time he set up a cardboard desk. So I said, you know what, why don't I give it a try? And if you scroll far enough on my Instagram, you'll see me on a full cardboard desk setup with like the monitors, the PC, and everything. And it is the most just jank setup ever, but in dire straits, you got to make something happen. I think I ran with a cardboard desk setup for like 3 to 4 months before I got an actual desk.
Like when I actually started on a laptop that I have sitting next to me that I use for all my peripherals now. I went from a 2060 Ti with a Ryzen 7 4000, is it 4000 series, and that was what I used to stream Call of Duty, and needless to say, it was very difficult to
Yeah.
stream COD because we all know how taxing Call of Duty is on a system. And
Ugh.
eventually, like 2 years ago, I purchased a 4060, and I'm like, this is going to be the solution to my problems. And then COD came out with the newest COD, and it's like,
Mm.
no, it's not. So then I had to buy yet another PC, and now things are running really smooth. And
Mm.
COD is just so taxing when it comes to like video games, and like
Yeah.
it's you would definitely have to have like a super setup to be able to even run it. And it's crazy going from a 1 PC to a 3 PC, and then going from that like awful chair to like my Mavix chair to now my
Mhm.
respawn chair, and like the setup's growing, the setup's setuping, you know.
That is always a positive and wonderful thing to hear, just because when you get to that point of sort of normalcy, or like just where you can get to, like, all right, now I can start trying new things, I can move to that next step. It's just, it makes everything feel so much more streamlined. You get to a sense of whole, and I'm like, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then it's just on to
Exactly.
the next thing. What problem can I solve next? How can I improve this? How do I make the viewing experience as streamlined and as easygoing as possible
Mm-hmm.
for the people watching at home or on their phones or on their laptops, on the computer, wherever, making sure that your viewers are having a good time and you're having a good time.
And like that's the key right there as a content creator,
Yeah.
especially because this is geared towards new content creators. Like we
Mhm.
people forget that the main reason that we stream is to try and put on an incredible viewing experience for you all. And it's so important to understand that basic level so that you can start doing things on like an advanced level, like going from, oh, I have just a camera in a capture card capturing the gameplay, right? Now it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to give you Tangia. I'm going to give you sound alerts. I'm going to give you text to speech. I'm going to give you things where you can make my face super big and like distorted and just do
Mhm.
something with laugh. And like, it's the technology behind things is so cool. So like
Mhm.
we always want to try to do what's best for the viewer.
Yes, I could not agree more. That is the penultimate thing you can be doing as a streamer, because if your viewers aren't having a good time, you're not going to have a good time, and it just leads to negative vibes and negative energy all around. Because there's definitely been moments where I've tried to like force a stream because I was like, man, I gotta stream, I gotta get content out, I gotta post, I gotta, yeah, blah 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 blah, and it just ended up being the wrong move mentally and emotionally, because you have to focus on yourself. Like,
Yes.
as much as everyone wants this to be their full-time job, as much as people want to, have those cool brand deals and make millions of dollars just playing video games, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not Very rarely you're going to have situations like Queso or Jinxie, um, or Sketch, where it's like, oh, these somehow seemingly overnight success stories is few and far between. Granted, I think we've seen a bit more of them than traditionally you may have seen, but those guys have been streaming and posting content and doing stuff well beforehand. It doesn't happen overnight for a lot of people. And even like, you take a look at some of the bigger streamers who some people are saying have fallen off, which I don't think is true at all. It's
I don't
just
think it's
like,
true.
no one is going to be the number one viewed streamer all the time. Kai not as much as he's having his hype moment. Like, he'll eventually, like, it'll die down, and then the next person will show up. Like, the world of content creation and streaming, it goes so quickly year to year. Ninja is probably the best example of this. While he's still a successful streamer in every regard, he's not pulling in 300,000 people anymore, and neither will Kai in probably like 5 years. And that's no disrespect to either of them; they're both successful. It's just the attention span of what seems like the viewing audience is going to change and fluctuate, and especially with the emergence of short form content in terms of like TikTok and YouTube shorts and reels, everyone's attention span is on a very, very short fuse. And it's like,
Yep.
all right, on to the next one, on to the next one. What next? What can I do to grab people's attention next? And how do I stand out amongst a huge deluge of influx of content? And it's tough. It's not easy for sure. But I do my best by just, I have a good time. I don't expect anything from it. It's not a career by any means. Would I love to do it full time? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's mainly about spending time with people I care about and enjoy spending time with.
And absolutely, that's kind of the ticket there. And like you
Mhm.
mentioned, like the falling off, and I put it in air quotes because it's not falling off.
Not really
What
fun. It's
what
just
the algorithms change what they want to push out over time. The
Mhm.
social norm of what people want to actually watch is changing. Like before, back in like 2012 to 2018, I call them the prime COD years, where people were doing
Mhm.
trick shots and like going around and actually like making a name for themselves on a sniping community, right?
Mhm.
That is evolving into multi gaming platforms, and that's evolving to IRL content, which is now
Yep.
evolving to Skate 4. Hint, hint. If you're a
Mhm.
content creator and you want to get noticed quickly, you may want to go play some Skate 4 because it's all
Yep.
over TikTok now and it's all over YouTube
Yeah.
because the glitched games, like the glitched games, the ones that have that funny open world content,
Mhm.
those are the things that people love to see. And it's back like when you did Game Alpha or Moon Alpha, right? Where they're like
Mhm.
John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, AU, like the stuff that like
Yeah.
brings people in. It's like everything's ever evolving. The next big thing kind of changes, and right now,
Mhm.
Skate 4, Minecraft, Warzone, Fortnite with their emergence of Prox Chat now,
Yep.
big ticket items. Borderlands 4, big
Yeah,
ticket items.
there's a lot of big ticket items in that, but if I'd say you can stream those games, you can definitely get into some of the larger communities like that and, find your audience and find your people, but with big games like that, with big releases, everyone is going to be streaming it. Everyone is going to be posting about it. The way I've found a lot of good people and a lot of just returning viewers, other than my casting stuff, is through like some of the older school games and some of the less popular games that I've been playing, or that may not be played in a very long time, is like strategy games and city builder games. It doesn't necessarily have the largest following overall or the biggest brand awareness in terms of like just media awareness or like how often you see links or posts about it. Um, but it's a much smaller audience. There's more to go around. Essentially, you don't have 500,000 people all streaming the same thing or the same event. It's 15 streamers on this one game that came out like 15 years ago. And, there's a very niche audience for that, but you
Mm-hmm.
get a more stable, I think, viewer base, dare I say, fan base in those niche games because, like, oh, you like this game? I didn't know anyone else liked this game. I'll watch this guy because they play these older school games. And
Exactly.
as a variety streamer, because, COD and like League of Legends mainly right now are my go tos, but like I wouldn't consider myself a COD streamer. I'm a variety streamer at heart because I don't want to be tied down to just one game. It's just like, one day I'm going to be playing Marvel Rivals or I go on a COD binge for a week, but then I'm going to play some Warhammer or I'm going to do a party night with my friends and play Pummel Party or Party Animals, or I'm playing some Peak that just came out, which is another big fun
Geek
game
is
to
so much
collab
fun.
on. And or I'm playing Star Wars: The Force Unleashed for a throwback stream, or I'm running through Apex lobbies, and I'm running Farthest Frontier, a medieval city builder, Warhammer 3, or Dead by Daylight, or No Man's Sky. There's a million different games. I think there's like over 80,000 or 800,000. I forget the exact number in the article, but there's like 80,000 different games on Steam alone. So there is plenty of opportunity in content creation. It's just don't limit yourself, I'd say, to just like the heavy hitters that you see, you know, all the big people playing, because that they got their audience because they played those games and they usually play them well, or they play it with a group of other streamers that are also big in it. Like Courage JD is my favorite example of this because, well, one, he's
Mm-hmm.
my favorite streamer and content creator and caster. So I'm going to be a little biased here and glazing him a bit. But uh, when everybody else was dipping off Fortnite, he stuck with it, and he's still highly regarded in that space, along with Cypher PK and Ali A and Ninja. But what Courage JD does so well is he still diversifies his content enough. And now that he's getting into GTA 5 roleplay streams with GTA 6 coming out soon, he's just going to propel even further when it drops, because that's the other thing you should prepare for as a streamer, especially if you're like medium to large size, is like when you have these big sequels dropping, and GTA 6 is going to be
Mm-hmm.
the biggest video game of all time.
Yes, it is.
Start ramping up your GTA 5 content, because then the audience will build as you get closer to that. So there's opportunities all around. I'm yapping a lot. I do it professionally, but
You are more than welcome
my,
to.
my 2 cents on the subject, to
And,
say the least.
and it's definitely like a really good point that you make, because like with new
Mhm.
games coming out and sequels coming out, like what people
Yeah.
want to see the game before they can actually buy the game, and what better way to do that than to watch your guy Percussive here. No, I'm kidding. But like any streamer. But like and that's you bring up a bunch of really incredible points, and one of the ones I wanted to touch on is like
Mhm.
a lot of people forget that as streamers we're also viewers. A lot of us started as viewers, and I'm a firm believer that you got to be able to watch and consume content to be able to understand how to produce content. And I say produce because you do casting stuff as well as being a content creator, and it's a whole
Yeah.
production there too. So what do you look for? We'll start from phase one here, but what do you look for as a viewer?
I mean, as a viewer, when I'm watching casting streams, or when I'm like just watching content and enjoying it.
Oh, just watching content and enjoying it when you're consuming it.
When I'm consuming it, what I'm typically looking for is like, I like collaboration a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing like a bunch of content creators that I know work together, either like in a competitive situation, or just like watching, Courage and Smitty play Peak for the first time, or Soup and Yummy are playing Rainbow Six Siege with McNasty and Blarg, or they're called the Goons.
Mm-hmm.
They always have funny banter. It's really those interactions and those moments, or even when I'm like watching my friends' streams, Thickles and like Redhead Vixen are two very big kick streamers, and that I'm lucky enough to call friends. And they got a group of our mutual friends together, and they were playing Pummel Party, and just the banter, the insults, and like the back and forth that everyone was having is just so entertaining to watch. And sometimes someone says something off the cuff, and the entire party starts laughing, and it's always a good time whenever I'm watching that or a part of it. But it's in those moments of collaboration and camaraderie that I see the best content come up, or the most rewatchable content. Is like, there's still some videos from like 5+ years ago that I'll go back and watch, just because they're that fun. Like, that
I
moment
still
was so
watch Charlie
funny.
the Unicorn.
Yeah. There are always funny moments to go back on, and compilations to watch from those collaborative moments, because one, it's just, you get better interaction, I think, because you're getting both communities or multiple communities coming together, and then getting exposed to one another's communities is always good. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for usually. It's just like, hey, streamers or content creators working together and usually having a good time doing it.
And that's such a big thing too, because from a collaboration perspective, like if you're having fun with your friends, you're going to produce the best content, because not
Mhm.
only are you going to kind of chill but
Yeah.
you're going to be able to relax enough to the point where your gameplay improves. Like, for example, me and one of my homies, we play Call of Duty all the time, right? And one of the best collaborations, one of the best content days we had is where it was just him and I just vibing out, doing our thing, running around Warzone, and I'm shooting people with a
Yeah.
crossbow with explosive rounds, or I'm playing Search and Destroy and only using boxing gloves, the Mike Tyson challenge. just really fun, goofy twists on the game of Call of Duty. It just kind of it makes you relax a little bit more. It makes you better at the game. It makes you actually hit your shots, and it's really cool to see. So
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know what casting is, and you definitely have a heart as a caster, and I can hear it in your voice
100%.
with the way you're putting things together and the way you kind of run. So, for people who don't know what casting is, why don't we talk a little bit about that? Let's talk about where your passion came from for the casting environment.
Well, we've already spoken about him a bit, but it was
Yeah.
Courage JD,
Uh huh.
probably the best caster out there and the best caster of all time for esports and in the esports world. I got my start just casting pubs matches in MW 2019 and Rainbow Six Siege. And eventually I got part of this gaming org, which, I think dissolved and I'm no longer a part of. But I got the opportunity to cast for a Discord league, which I just didn't know existed at all. I had no wherewithal to where to get started. I thought it was like challengers and the CDL and like best of luck if you get in, if you even do. But got introduced to the scene into this wonderful Discord league called AEC, and the rest is history. I got paid $3 for my first casting gig, and there are tears of flowing. I didn't know what I was doing in the Observer or production wise, so needed to clean that up a lot. But um, the main reason I got started was because Courage JD, when you are able to bring just that extra bit of seasoning to a moment, it enhances it so much. Like I always look to um, football or pro wrestling or NASCAR or golf or
Yep.
anything that has commentators in it, and it's like try watching those sports or try watching those events without an announcer, without a host, without a caster, without a commentator behind it, and it gets incredibly boring.
So interjecting
Casters
real
can,
quick because you're bringing
yes,
this up, you're a
mhm.
Cleveland guy. Do you
Jim
have any
Donovan.
inspiration? Jim Donovan,
Jim Donovan,
Tom
the voice of
Hamilton.
Mounts, may he rest in peace.
Hmm.
Um, was a huge inspiration as well because when I first started off streaming and I was in my college dorm room out in Colorado where I'm still at, I didn't get to watch Cleveland Browns games. I listened to them through the Cleveland Browns app, and I heard Jim Donovan almost every Sunday during football season casting for the Browns with that energy, creating these storylines. Which is the point I was getting to earlier before I was rudely interrupted. No, I'm kidding. Um, these storylines through these events. It's like what person is playing the underdog, who's playing sort of the villain or the heel, who's the dark horse. What are these some unexpected moments that you're trying to set up for the eventual payoff? Those clutch moments that come from behind in the race, that last kill, that last shot, that one moment that sets up the rest of the match, the tournament, the LAN event, whatever it may be, creating these storylines and these plot lines for people to follow through is like, man, they came from the lower bracket. They've been fighting in these best of fives that have been going the distance, and now they get their rematch against this squad that took them out in the first place. Can they come back? Stuff like that. But to answer your original question and to get to your point,
Uh-huh.
um, Jim Donovan had such an iconic way of casting and bringing life to a football game, and Courage JD
Absolutely agree.
does the same thing for esports events. Obviously, he doesn't do it as much, if at all, anymore. But when he steps behind a mic, when he is on the microphone, he always does an exceptional job of one, bringing hype to key moments and creating a storyline for people to follow easily. His work with Dr. Lupo and at the Fortnite World Cup is obviously massive. I mean, that is a Super Bowl like event in esports, and if I hopefully can get it scheduled out soon, but I am hopeful that I can cast with him in the future because it would be a dream come true.
And that's really awesome that you pull in some of those figures, that pure inspiration like that. And like for me, I'm a big Tom Hamilton fan, and
Yeah,
I'm also a big Jim Donovan fan. For those of you guys who don't know, we're talking about actual sportscasters
yeah,
in the Cleveland scene here, and I keep referencing Tom Hamilton because the Guardians just won the second game of their doubleheader, and both
yeah.
games were shutouts, and that's another thing that hit MLB history. But we're not going to talk about that because even though I'm a huge Cleveland fan, but let's go Guards.
we
But
we
Tom
love fire.
Hamilton is one of the most legendary people in baseball announcers. like the stuff that they are able to bring in, the stuff that they're able to see from just looking at analytics, bringing up past storylines. Like you see Jose Ramirez taking a bat, right? Like he's taking a bat, and then he'll come up with this most grandiose statistic that just makes you be like, huh, that makes sense. And one of the things as casters that we've been told is you got to know the people that you're casting about. You got to
Yep.
have those little informations, and like you got to pay attention to the scene. So,
That is very.
I mean, what do you do to allow yourself to get those extra little, I call them tidbits, that just pull people in?
Well, it's obviously you have to stay up to date with stuff going down on the timeline, announcements being made, roster changes, delays, everything on Twitter, because nobody calls it X.
Yeah, no one calls it X.
You have to have some sort of social presence as well. You have to stay up to date with any drama that may be going on. If you can attend or watch LAN events, those are key as well. There's a lot of trash talk that goes on at those, and there's also a lot of schmack talk said. So keeping up with that is important. Your really big thing is just trying to stay up to date with the scene, with news, with everything and anything going on, and especially with competitive esports. That's the most critical part, I think, is just doing your research and your prep, because you can commentate the game, but to understand the people and to interact with them and to know their motivations, why they're there, what they're showing up for, can just enhance what you're doing. Mainly because then you start to care about the storylines you've created, or you start to get invested in the scene as a major part of it. And while I don't know how much of a role I play in that, it's just nice knowing that when I go to a LAN event for Call of Duty, more likely than not, people are going to recognize me. People are going to say, hey, they're going to say, I love your casting. If you have any advice, or what have you been seeing? Are they just coming up to talk and to interact, to catch up? Hope you've been well, so on and so forth. It's been truly a blessing to have the people I've met still be a part of my my career as a content creator and caster, and hopefully that continues with Black Ops 7, with Valorant, with League of Legends, whatever it is I'm casting. I hope I can continue to meet wonderful people, because it has been nothing short of a gift, the friendship that I've gotten over the past 3.5-ish years that I've been casting, and 6 or so that I've been streaming.
And it's so important to get yourself to these LAN events if you want to start getting into casting and stuff like that. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is a caster's best friend is their producer. And
Yes,
we would be nothing without the people doing the production aspect
behind the scenes.
Yeah. And a lot of the things that, like I'm saying here, people are like, wait, what's a producer? So for those of you guys that don't know, a producer is somebody that actually has all the overlays, that has all the scene changes, that runs all the advertisements, that runs all the stuff that actually makes the scene. Imagine it like your personal scene changer, as well as somebody who is in
Your
the game.
stream assistant, essentially.
Your stream assistant. They're going to give you all the facts. They're going to give you all the stuff to be able to allow the casters to cast. So
Yeah,
I always see it that way.
Casters, observers, the people at the LAN, basically your foot runners and whatnot, going from setup to setup, making sure everything's working all right. Your stream manager, like the observer, the producer, your co-caster is another huge one.
Yes.
So I've solo casted many a time, and it is not fun. If you have a co-caster, I'm sure we'll get to that eventually, but that is probably your second most, if not most important person on in a casting environment with you, because you need to have a good energy with your caster. There needs to be a solid back and forth, because if you're not on the same page, it's not going to be entertaining for the viewers, and it's going to just look rough in post, or just trying to get clips, and you're like interrupting, or you're stepping over each other's toes, and everything else is just not flowing the way it should be. But yeah, the having your production peeps having production set up beforehand and running tests and getting everything done and getting everything set up is a huge part of it as well.
There's so much behind the scenes that people don't
Yeah.
actually see when it comes into putting on a full production.
Mhm.
Regardless of what that production is, you kind of have to think about everything as like a TV show, and we're putting everything on a TV show, and our casters were the host. We're the host with the most that allow everything to go through in that banter that he's talking about with co-caster. So the way to kind of view is like co-casting. This is kind of like a co-cast in a way, even though it's a podcast and we're just talking about like content and yapping. But like,
Mhm.
so he's my my co-host here. He's also my guest. But it's like that type of mentality and that type of interaction and going back and forth is how you can actually put on a production. And I don't think Rich, you and I have actually hung out in a call. So
No.
which is
No, we
really
have not.
interesting and really cool that like we just kind of vibe and have those that conversation, even though I'm a hyperactive being and interrupt everything.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
no, it's also just part of like learning the space and having a bit of PR management skills and whatnot. It's
Exactly.
like knowing what to say and when to say it is obviously very important, but it's also important what not to say
Yes.
and when you should be quiet. And that goes for being in the casting booth too. There are some incredibly clutch moments in sports and in esports where sometimes
Absolutely.
it's best to just, pardon my French, STFU, because those moments deserve that regard and that silence. Is the biggest one I can think of, or two of the biggest. The first one is Tiger Woods' return to mastery or to victory in, I think it was 2017 or 2018 when he
Mhm.
finally won a Masters again, and the commentator is like a return to glory, and then just let the clip play, and it's him hugging his son and his mom and his tears in his eyes, and it's like all this strife and everything else Tiger Woods dealt with over the past couple of years and injury and everything else, and he finally wins again is a huge moment. The other one is in football or soccer for us Americans. It goes Hawk, Day, and then the crowd erupts and everyone. You can look it up as just Hog and Deanie football clip, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you just listen to it, you'll understand what's happening because it'll show the casters beforehand trying to capture every moment, and then when that moment happens, it's giving time, giving space for that reaction to feel that energy and to understand that in those moments you gotta button your lip. You don't necessarily
Absolutely.
need to cast over everything. And while in esports that can be a bit tougher to do, I think, because you don't necessarily see or feel that emotion unless you're at a LAN event. Nonetheless, it's still important knowing when to hold your breath for a moment and understand, oh, we just watched something incredible happen.
Exactly. And like one of the best moments in sports was when Francisco Lindor hit a grand slam in game 7 or game 5 of the ALCS versus the New York Yankees. And you'll hear me bring up Tom Hamilton a lot, you'll hear me bring up baseball. I'm a big sports fan, but what the only thing you hear is it's a swing of a drive to deep left. And then everyone in the crowd just blows up, and then he's like, Santa Maria. And it's such a beautiful thing to know the art of shutting the fuck up. And it is such like knowing when to actually talk, when to actually make that push, when to grab the hook and when to pull them closer, and then just when to let it reel. It's kind of like a game of fish. Like when you're fishing, you gotta find ways to draw people in, and that's a huge job as a caster.
Yeah, 100%. Finding those moments and really just getting to experience them from the best seat in the house is just great. I really do enjoy. I really just enjoy being able to bring those moments to life, to be there for those clutch, clutch rounds in search and destroy. Those moments throughout esports history, at least in the amateur scene, is like it may not get the same sort of like glitz and glamour that the pros get, or maybe not written about as much, but the amateur scene has created some incredible moments that I've been grateful to be a part of, and been awesome to see some incredible people along the way as well.
So, an, another thing that I would love to talk about here is casting
Yes.
takes so much energy. Like it takes a
Yeah.
ton of energy. So how do you prepare yourself before a match or before an event? What is your go-to?
My main thing is water is probably the most important thing throughout the day. Is making sure you stay hydrated because we're going to be speaking a lot, and you're going to have to take plenty of sips of water, like Percussive just did, and it's going to be a bit exhausting throughout the day. The second thing is cough drops. If you're going to be talking, if you're going to be a play-by-play caster, rather than color commentary, because play-by-play typically speaks a little bit more and a little faster, a little quicker, a little more energy, so on and so forth, like I'm doing now. Taking a breath, making sure that you're not catching yourself off guard. Think before you say, processing before you say can be tough, but it's a learned skill in the moment with a million different things on happening on screen. Figuring out what to say and when to say it also comes in. But um, I prep just by okay, who's up next? Who am I got? What rosters are showing up? Who can I expect? What storylines have been prevalent in pool play, or what are we? What are we getting into first? What maps are being chosen? What legends are being picked, or what characters are being picked? Also play into how I'm going into it casting wise. But water and cough drops are probably the biggest thing, just because it helps with the sore throat. If anything, I recommend like breezers or just like you don't need like heavy intense cough drops because that's gonna just mess with your mental a bit with how much like medicine or whatnot is in there. But they
Mm-hmm.
have stuff specifically just for sore throats. Um, I think Ricola has a good one that's like a berry flavor, and then like the house
Ricola.
breezers. Yeah, the house breezers are easygoing ones too. So they're not habit forming or addicting. It's not like cough syrup or anything. Um, but just making sure that you have water and a cough drop or two, and it'll go a long way. And then depending on how long you're casting for a LAN event, you're expected, it can be a 10-plus hour day. If you don't have a third caster to rotate people in and out, trying to find breaks or breaks in between matches to grab
Mm-hmm.
food, to stretch your legs, to get outside if you haven't stepped outside is hugely important for your mental. So those are some tips and tricks, but you'll learn as you pick up what suits you best and what you can find will work best for you, because there's no one solution, but water is a must. Something to drink, obviously. Cough drops or sore throat drops. I wouldn't say cough drops, but you get what I mean.
Whenever I go into any type of like podcast event, kind of like this, or like any type of casting style event where I know I'm going to be talking, where I know I'm going to be conversing, where I know you guys are going to kind of see like my gorgeous beard, like I'm going to make sure I have one of like five things: water, I'm going to have a bunch of coffee, I'm going to make sure
Yep.
I have a fan going in the background because I run with some pretty awesome SFX. You actually can't even hear it because it's the same sound level of my computer. So I have airflow, I have water, I have coffee, um, and I always have a way to grab food, or at least have food. In my case, I always keep a little bit of nuts here in case I gotta grab something quickly.
Just a little bit of nuts by your desk. You never know when you might need them.
You always gotta have some of these nuts. But
Terrible.
they're it's a long standing joke. So the funny thing about that is back when I first started streaming, I was eating peanuts and someone was like, "Oh, let me have some of these nuts," and I'm like, "Did you just hit me with these nuts?" And he's like, and ever since then,
Crazy.
just turned into an inside joke, and I only call the peanuts that I have at my desk these nuts. So it's just a funny little thing that happens over time in the community, but. So yeah, having the stuff that you have in front, like beside you, to be able to nosh on, to be able to make sure that you're gonna like hold your own, is so important. So
Yeah.
what's we talked about the prep to casting here, but what's one casting moment that you'll never forget?
Ooh, okay. Obviously, tough question. I have to think about it for a moment.
Sure.
Because I've already touched on my first casting gig, a bit, so that's we've said it. I don't want to use that one. even though it was a very proud moment for myself and my community and everything else. But my biggest casting moment, I'd say, is probably when I got to cast my first LAN. Because you feel the energy, you feel the passion from the players, uh, you feel a lot more important sitting at a desk in a LAN center than at your desk at home. And to know that I've been working, I've been grinding, I've been posting, I've been sharing, I've been reaching out, I've been doing anything and everything to get this shot, to get this opportunity. And now that I'm finally here, it all finally coalesces to be at a LAN, to meet with the players, that I've casted for a dozen times over online, but never met in person. To hear how they talk, to hear how they yap and talk their crap, and really just the energy in the building to meet the people that I've spent so long interacting with online, to meet them in person, just feels so much better than anything else. And doing that for the first time with the AW, the Amateur World League, I believe in San Antonio, for the No Game No Life 8K LAN, which I still have a sweatshirt that's a bit small on me now, but it was truly a very, very proud moment for myself. And I look back on it fondly. I'm still prepping for the next one and hoping for my next opportunity, because being at LAN is unlike anything else. And if you ever have a chance to go to an esports LAN, I strongly recommend it. Even if it's something local, if it's like a $1,000 Super Smash Brothers tournament, go and experience that. Try and participate if you can. Get a squad together or start practicing, and pay the small entry fee. Find your local LAN event, and try and attend, try and get involved, because it's a completely different energy. And please bring deodorant.
Yes.
We need to change the dynamic, and especially for the men's esports team, because I've been at a few women's esports LANs. But just in general, you're going to be in a fairly packed, sweaty environment with people in front of a bunch of lights and a bunch of computers. Hand sanitizer and deodorant. Your hygiene is important. Do not forget about it because you're playing a video game. Thank you.
I definitely can agree with that one. It's like that's a rule though. If like you go to any group gathering, so always make sure you have deodorant. Always make sure your teeth are brushed. Make sure you have gum in your pocket. Make sure you take care of yourself from like that style of perspective. But
Yes,
I agree with you 100%. If you haven't gone to any type of LAN event, get yourself to a LAN event, because LAN events are incredible to experience, even if it's from just a straight viewer perspective. Like I've been with Rally Esports for a couple years now, and like they're a phenomenal organization, and
great org. Put on a ton of LANs, casted for their LANs, casted for their players. And just a great job. But like Percussive is saying, even if you're going as just a viewer, not a participant or a caster or someone working the event, just go support your local esports scene, because I promise you, the people you will meet and the interactions you will have will be worth it, because it can.
Yes.
You can make friendships that last a lifetime through video games and through LANs especially.
I could not have said it better myself. And like, but going to those events is so important. And like one of the funny things in how I got my first I don't think I even told Sam this yet, but how I got my first casting gig was I was actually at a Super Smash Brothers tournament at 16-bit here in Cleveland, and it was a Twitch event, like with a whole bunch of different Smash Brothers people, and I'm sitting there behind the scenes, like just doing a play-by-play of everything, and like no one can hear me except for the people who are walking by getting the thing, because it's like, so all the players are on like they're on the far side of the bar, and I'm sitting there watching the actual screenplay, like actually at the bar, and I'm doing a play-by-play, and I'm like, oh, and Marth goes, and he hits the kicker, or whatever the hell I said, and someone was like, dude, you're really good at this. And then the next event, they had me do my first casting gig, and I'm like, but I don't know what to say. I don't know any of these people, so I just started talking about how my favorite character is Pikachu in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
There you go.
So yeah, and like Pikachu's is the shit. So you can't talk past about her. She's sitting right back here.
I was a Yu-Gi-Oh kid growing up, so you can have fun with the Pokemans. I'm not getting
It's time
involved.
to duel.
Exactly. My good friend Dark Magician will save me.
Sorry, Pikachu's always got my back. She's always watching over me. But
Fair enough.
so I mentioned Rally as like one of the esports teams that like
Yes.
I kind of run with. Let's tell us a little bit about Rain
Rally up.
here. Huh?
Yeah, Rain Above. I've been with them as a content creator slash streamer for a few months now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a good group of people. That's mainly, especially on the amateur scene and the lower level of esports orgs, because obviously it's not like Optic or 100 Thieves or Liquid or TSM or any like those big sort of name brand esports. Like you could say to a casual viewer and they'd know who they are. It's mainly a group of friends coming together and say, hey, we're going to play party games. We're going to post content together. We're going to collab. We're going to be in VC hanging out. Rain Above's doing a super awesome thing right now, raising money for suicide awareness from September 15th through the 30th. It's the Suicide Prevention Donathon, which I think is incredible. Bringing awareness to a tragic thing that's you know has affected a lot of people, myself included, just with either family or with friends or just people close to you who sadly you're just going through something that you may not be able to fully understand or comprehend, and they end up making that ultimate decision. And it hopefully, with however much we raise, it can help contribute towards resources and just having a conversation about suicide prevention. And I appreciate an organization that takes those leaps and takes those steps towards improving the community, improving the world, however small of an effect that may have, even if it's that $20 donation that goes to helping something or someone in some regard for suicide prevention, because it's a very taboo topic and people don't often bring it up. So having a conversation about it and just knowing that I have a support system in Rain Above and that there are people I can rely on that not necessarily everyone has is a huge step in that. And one of the big reasons I joined was because my good friend Thickles, I'm going to probably mention another dozen times throughout this, wanted me to join up, and I've been in through the thick and the thin, pun intended, with her, and
Mm-hmm.
I trust her almost implicitly. And she was like, "It's a good org, it's good people," and I was like, "You know what? I'll do it. I'll go in. I'll give it a shot." And I've met some incredible people through it, and I'm hopeful that it continues to be a positive relationship, and just see where it all goes. I mean, I'm hopeful that I get to cast for our Counter Strike 2 team one of these days, but
W.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I really like Rain. I like Rally. I like a lot of the orgs in the scene. I got to give a quick shout out to Unreal Nightmare and Team Empire, as well as I'm blanking on a name right now. Please don't hate me. But Unreal Nightmare, I was casting for an Apex event they were a part of, and
Mm-hmm.
Empire, they sent me a couple of jerseys for free, and the Unreal Nightmare has Big Rich X on the back, like my Reign Above jersey. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the people in the scene that I show them love and they show love back, and everyone's trying to make the most of their moment, and we're all trying to make something happen in this scene, and I'm hopeful that it just continues to be a positive collaborative environment.
And it's so huge that you mentioned some of the stuff that like Rain is doing. Rain is doing a phenomenal job with some of this stuff. Having that support background is so important. And
Hmm.
like on my channel, we treat mental health very seriously, and
Yes.
we even have a command with open line to the suicide hotline if anyone ever needs to
Right.
talk. It's like, and sometimes like as a streamer, we deal with trolls. We deal with people who will come and say
Mm.
specific things, and like then we will literally say, hey, like
Mhm.
as much as I'd love to hear about it, go call the suicide hotline and like being
Professionals.
able, yeah, call the professionals who are
Call people.
100% willing to
They're
help.
trained to deal with that. They know how to speak with someone going through something like that. Obviously, go to like a streamer you trust or someone you can be like, "Hey, hope you're doing well today." I'd say avoid, and it's a lot of things streamers may not want to talk about but have to, is just
Hmm.
like you can't go into someone's stream and just unload everything. They call it
Yes,
trauma dumping.
trauma dumping is bad.
Because yeah, it's bad, and it's just not healthy for yourself or for everyone else there because well, it like if someone is streaming and everyone's sort of coming in and all of a sudden everyone's doing it, it can lead to sort of a negative energy. And it's not to say that you can't say something like that. It's just there are more appropriate and more timely places to do it. Because I've definitely been guilty of it. I'm having a bad night. And it's like, well, if I'm having a bad night, I want someone else to be having a bad night too. Or I'm trying to bring someone else down to my level. Or I'm like, I need to say this here and now, or I won't get to say it anywhere else. And I was like, that's just not the case.
A lot.
It's it's about taking that energy and hopefully putting it towards something positive, but also contacting the right people, especially when it comes to depression or suicide or those dark thoughts. Is like going into someone playing a video game and saying, "Okay, I'm gonna put everything here." You're not necessarily going to get the response you want, and you're not necessarily going to get the reaction or the cheerful moment you're hoping for. If you go to the appropriate professionals or talk to a therapist or go to a group or a place that is where it's okay that you need to get that out is where it should be said. But to get to the point is just seek the right resources at the right time. Don't necessarily expect, especially for larger streamers who have thousands of people in their audience, it's going to be a quick message, and you're lucky if it gets seen at all. So,
Right.
if you're wanting to be seen, if you're wanting to be heard, is what I'm getting at. Going to those appropriate sources is the place to do it.
100% agree. Going to the proper sources, taking the proper avenues, because that's the best thing that you can
Yeah.
do, not only for yourself but for everybody involved. And like kind
Mhm.
of swapping notes back to the kind of positivity aspect.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type of
On a positive.
person. I'm the type of person who, like, if I'm ever having like one of my like real off days from like depression, I
Mhm.
actually go and be super positive and super kind, super nice. Like, and it's sometimes it's even over the top. And like I know that's like my therapist, and we're not gonna have a whole therapy session here, my
Yeah, yeah, I get
but
it.
like my therapist like says it's a good way to allow people to still see that you have an internalized heart there. And like
Mhm.
sure, like talking to therapy is extremely important. I do it. So
Mhm.
it's definitely important to allow yourself to be positive for yourself, and like everybody has their own coping mechanisms, and it's always best to talk about that with your therapist. So
Yeah,
but
100%.
so how going to content creation, because a
Yes.
lot of people don't know how to grow. Um as a new
Mhm.
creator or an aspiring creator, someone who hasn't been around the scene, what is your advice to people on how they
Mhm.
can take steps to grow?
The biggest thing is consistency, and you're going to hear that a million times over from however many how-to videos there are out there now about how to start streaming and how to grow your audience. And there's no one set answer. You're not going to get either. You're going to get the millions like stream consistently, stream different games, play what you like, so on and so forth. There's very generic answers out there, and I'm probably going to repeat some of them, but the biggest thing is obviously consistency, because if you don't have a consistent schedule, if you're not streaming regularly enough, if you're not posting regularly enough, it's going to fall by the wayside and you're not going to stand out whatsoever. So it has to be consistent. The second biggest thing is playing something you enjoy. You can't be grinding, 12 hours of League of Legends, cursing up a storm in a bad mood, yelling, screaming. And yeah, you'll get interactions like that. You'll get people reacting to you being upset, but you're not going to be in a good state of mind, because there's definitely been moments
True.
where I've just ended stream because I was like, I'm not in a good mood, and nobody's going to want to watch me be all grumpy and self pitying. Um, because it's just not entertaining. It's downright sad looking, and it's bad. It's just bad. Um, so have fun with what you're doing. Enjoy what you're streaming. And yes, you can get upset and you can get mad on stream. I'm saying that you don't have to hide all your emotions, but if you're not having a good time overall, neither will your audience. The third biggest thing I'd say is have a clear microphone. You can put a webcam up, and it definitely helps a lot, I think, to have a webcam, but quality audio is everything.
Bingo.
Because if you're not having clear audio, if there's a bunch of static, if there's a bunch of background noise, people aren't going to want to watch you. The biggest thing is obviously just clear audio. And then finally, the biggest thing I'd recommend, and it'll show this, the best thing I could say to do is be active. Even if you have 0 viewers, because that's what I had to learn for a very long time when I first started streaming, is just you talk about the game, talk about your day, talk like as if there's, 5 or 6 people watching you, or 500 or whatnot. Just so then you keep that energy up, so that when someone does stop by, you can have that energy, you can be there, you can interact. And the big video I, point to is Ludwig, one of the biggest creators out there and biggest
Mm-hmm.
streamers. He recently did a video on, I started from 0 and streamed from no one, and no one was interacting with him. No one was talking for like 4 hours. So it was 4 hours of him just talking to literally no one. But when he did get people in there, it's like it's a huge like sigh of relief. It's like, okay, I'm getting interaction, I'm getting something. And it's trying to make the most of that first impression, because again, people are on those short attention spans. It's the TikTok, it's the YouTube shorts, it's the reels, it's the everything. And it's on to the next moment. So when you do get a viewer, make sure that you're there. The final thing I'll say is stay away from follower only and subscriber only streamer modes, at
Yes.
least early on. Because if you're follower only, especially on Twitch and Kick, you're going to get very little interaction, because you have to earn that follow. You shouldn't expect the follow right out of the gate. When you start building an audience, you can have like follower only or streamer or subscriber only days. But when you're first starting off, just avoid follower only and use it only if you're getting like hate rated or bot rated or something, because then it can serve its use. But if you're genuinely trying to grow your audience and get more people in your stream, avoid those like restrictions on getting new viewers.
Absolutely agree. Like putting yourself on a follower or subscriber only mode is going to actually limit your visibility. And it does that purposely. It's like people are not going to feel like they're part of the community, and they're going to want to. And like it does, if you're smaller or you're still kind of starting out, it puts you behind the 8 ball. And like to echo your points, like whenever I talk to anybody about growth and stuff like that, I always tell people, have fun, be yourself, post consistently, and remember to be introspective about your product. And that's a one you didn't say. So what do we mean by being introspective? It means you look back, you pay attention to the metrics that matter. For example, no one cares about your viewer count. The only thing that you should care about is when the viewer count drops after the stream, when you pay attention to the analytics. So when the viewer count drops, you want to see what was said, what happened, what did you do, and how you can change things in order to retain your audience, because the most fun chats are the most interactive chats. And because not only are they interacting with each other, but they're also interacting with you, which creates a more vibrant community and a more vibrant product from a streaming perspective. And that's why I say introspection is key, and it's 95% of what you do as a streamer, because it also helps you with your content too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be interesting to say the least. How people develop those skills as we continue. Collaboration's obviously a big one
Yes.
too. Is like, and it's taking that leap of like, hey, you're playing this game that I play too. We should play it together sometime. And yeah, it can be seen as a little cringy, I suppose, but that's how, you know, friendships are made. It's
Exactly.
also just like it's also just keeping your mic on during public matches. Um, Obviously you can mute and you cannot talk throughout a match when it gets a little toxic, but like, hey, we're having a good time in this game. We should, you know, play some more games together. And it's like, that's how I met probably in my main online friend group was just a random game in Call of Duty, and they liked the commentary I was doing for pubs matches, and the rest is history. So you never know what can happen in a public lobby. You never know who you're going to meet, but I'd say be open to meeting new people, especially in
Yes.
an online format. It's so much easier than in person. There's a lot less stress. You're already doing something you both enjoy. So might as well try, hey, let's play this together. Let's see what happens. And you know, the biggest one I reference with that is like the Vanos crew in the early days of like
Hmm.
Gmod and GTA,
Oh, Gmod.
and
I
how
love Gmod.
iconic some of those videos have been is like, and how rewatchable it all is. It all goes back to like content and everything, but like how long those friendships have lasted, and like now they're going to each other's weddings. They're, you know, they're there for each other's kids, and like how much their relationships have developed from just, hey, let's play some Gmod, to where it is now is insane.
Gmod is one of those games that really just changed the entirety of gaming when it was
Changed the landscape.
released. It changed the entire landscape.
It's
And
like Gmod, Minecraft, GTA, unfortunately Roblox, and like these long-lasting, like huge games that continue to bring in new players, new communities. And again, back to Courage JD, he was in mainline Fortnite, was only playing Fortnite, and then all of a
mhm,
sudden found GTA roleplay and fell in love with it. And now is collabing with new people, interacting with new people and new servers and new communities, growing his audience, expanding his audience while still maintaining Fortnite when they have like updates or the proximity chat. So it's finding your niche, but also realizing, hey, there is opportunity out there when the iron is hot and when you strike it at just the right time. So timing is everything, but again, those happen when they happen. There's no guarantee that something is going to work, but you got to at least try.
100% agree. Never put yourself in a box, because a lot of
Mm-mm.
people like to put themselves. I know that like when you go live on Twitch, Kick, or like whatever platform you choose, they ask you to give yourself a category. But remember, that's for the game that you're currently playing. Don't put yourself in a content box. Keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself open. Open your doors. Network properly. And networking properly is another thing I want to talk about here, because a lot of creators network wrong. And a lot of creators will go into somebody's Discord and then they'll just be like, "Hey, are you free? Do you want to play?" After like hanging out with them one time. And then they'll start posting into self promo and they'll be like, "Well, why is no one coming to my stream?" Well, I mean, self promotion, those channels, find me one person who actually looks inside of a self promotion channel.
Don't rely on self promo. Don't rely on
Yes.
follow for follows. Don't rely on
Yes.
lurk for lurks. I've tried. I had joined those communities early on, and like, yes, you may get a raid every now and again of like 30 viewers, and it feels great, and you have 50 people chatting in your stream or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But then it is the biggest scam in the streaming industry that, and I still deal with it sometimes. Like my content definitely hasn't like popped off or done anything crazy, and like I'm not going full time anytime soon by any regards, but I still get people's like, hey, I'll follow you if you follow me. I'm lurking, you should lurk on mine. It's like, that is not, you will not grow an audience, you will not grow a community that way. You'll get, your numbers will look good for a little bit, you'll get a bunch of new followers and everything, and it'll be nice, but it does not work in the long run. It will not work in the long run,
And
and it is a scam to say the least.
I have people who come into my chat and they follow me and they're like, "Hey, you should follow me back. I also stream." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll check your content out first, and then if I like what I see, then I'll give you a follow." And they're like, "That's so stupid. Why don't you just follow me back?" I'm like, "Because I'm not going to give you a number, because if I follow you, that means you're showing up on my FYP. That means you're showing up on the stuff that I'm watching. If I follow you, there's a reason why I'm following you." And I never do a follow for follow type deal, because it doesn't work. In the stuff that I want to see might be not be the stuff that you're putting out, and that's not a diss. People think that like
Mm.
follows are like everything, and they're really not. it's about what really ultimately matters is, are you enjoying the product that you're putting out?
Yes.
Are you
Exactly.
creating content that you enjoy and you like? Because so many people are like, well, I posted this quadruple collat and no one's paying attention to it. It just didn't blow up. Well, I'm playing the smallest violin here. It doesn't matter. You got to enjoy the content that you have. And what's really interesting, especially with Call of Duty and those clips like that, is the world is evolving. So instead of doing just a quadruple collat and posting it and expecting it to blow up, just like casters do, you got to hype people up for it.
Mhm.
Which is one of the reasons why I watch Cpreds a lot, because some of the stuff that he does with his hooks is one of the coolest things ever in Call of Duty.
Exactly. It's finding your what's your moment, what's your thing, what is your reason to that someone should follow you? Why should someone care about your content is what I ask
Exactly.
myself a lot. Why should someone watch this over someone else's is the biggest thing. Is like, yes, it's competitive. Yes, you want to be viewed the most, but you have to ask yourself, like, the thing I started doing, or at least wanted to have started doing, I should say, I'm mixing up my words, but you
No
have to
worries.
go back and watch your stream. Are you enjoying it? Are you noticing in long stretches that you're just not saying anything? Is it just big gaps of silence? Are you enjoying what you're watching? Is the game entertaining? Is the stream entertaining? Is the audio right? Is the visual right? Checking everything to make sure that it is as streamlined as possible. And then getting a viewer is huge. So you have
Introspective.
to be you have to be self-critical at times. Obviously,
Yes.
you're going to have streams that are off. Obviously, you're going to have moments where it's just not hitting and it's just not something ain't right. It was like, okay, what do I need to change? How do I improve? How do I get better?
95% of streaming is introspective work. I kid you not. And it's
Mhm.
going back, watching your stuff. I kid you. So I posted a minute and 38-second long video 2 days ago, right?
Mhm.
And when I tell you I watched that video close to 150 times after I posted it, I did. And I even waited a day and then watched it 10 more times. And the reason why is I wanted to see if there was a point where I stopped paying attention. And when and where did I stop paying attention or feel like I wanted to do something else? Because if I'm able to watch that video 150 times straight and still be entertained,
Mhm.
that's a great video. And it might not reach everybody that I want it to, and it may not reach the right people, but you know what? I'm gonna post it out there and I'm gonna still enjoy it.
Mhm.
Like, look at Marcus the Worm in like the VR chat. Look at how he blew up. He said,
Mhm.
"Robert, I hate this rock. I don't like this rock." It blows
Simple
up.
stuff like that. It's yeah, and I've been in the same boat where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna spend 3 hours editing this video. I'm gonna add all of these clips. I'm gonna add all of these sound effects. I'm gonna make sure the audio's right. I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do everything. I post it, get 6 views. All right, on to the next one. It didn't work out. And then I'll wait like a week. Okay, all of a sudden it has 20. The algorithm's picking it up. Something's working. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily going to be overnight, especially with YouTube. I've definitely
Yes.
had videos where, okay, in the first week I get 10, and then all of a sudden it's at 100. Now I'm at 150. Okay, we're getting close to 200. I'm not necessarily like blowing up, but it's like finding what content pops and what doesn't, and then trying to stick with it. Obviously, I recommend sprinkling stuff in just so it's not the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's finding those moments and trying to make the most of them.
I couldn't agree more. And like finding those moments that are right for you. And it's like
Yeah.
when we talk about content creation as a content creator, our goal is to create the best possible content for everyone, and it is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Because we're our own audio engineer, we're our own video producer, we're our own sound identifier, we're our own
Mhm.
clip cutters, we're our own like everything that we
Yeah.
put together. Going back to the whole, he mentioned like good microphone and good audio. So what SFX am I able to do? What limiter should I use? What compressor should I use? What noise cancellation software should I use? What is going to make me sound clear,
Mhm.
concise, and I mean, as gorgeous as my beard, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Sweet, beautiful beard.
absolutely, it's all about the beard. That's the only reason. But so if you could cast um alongside
CDL,
anyone, CDL,
Courage
okay,
JD.
Courage JD and
Yeah, I already know the
CDL.
question. Yeah, you don't have to ask that. And I could already tell the question before it was asked. It's CDL Courage JD at the grand finals at champs at the end of the year. Not a
So
major because it's the end of the year, end all be all. If I could do anything in the casting space ever, it would be to cast a Call of Duty event with Courage JD, ideally champs.
that would be great. Yeah, that would be something that would be really cool to see, honestly. So
Mhm.
what steps are you gonna take for yourself in your future to make that happen?
It's well within the works because I added
W.
Courage JD for 1,000 days on Twitter. He finally responded, so eventually we will be casting it together at some point. I don't think it'll be a COD major, but it's at least making that first step to like, hey, maybe.
And it goes back to like when we were talking about networking before, networking the
Mhm.
correct way.
Yeah.
For example, like Rich, I know you and I've talked like kind of on the side to side, not really like in depth
Mhm.
before. But
Yeah.
for me to be able to network and actually like reach out to you and even suggest the things that I suggested to get you on here,
Yeah.
it's a lot of this stuff is like you got to take a shot.
Social media.
You got to reach
Social
out,
media. Yeah.
utilize it.
You have to go through. Twitter is probably the biggest one, especially for the casting space.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I'd recommend is like Discords and Discord
Yes.
leagues. Broadcast.gg is probably the biggest one out there that I've found in terms of just finding events and finding opportunities. I I reached out to a random org on broadcast.gg. I've never casted before. I never casted League of Legends before. I reached out. It was a volunteer position, but I took that shot. Even though as an experienced caster, I knew I wasn't getting paid ahead of time, but I'm taking this opportunity because they're taking this opportunity on me. I've never casted League. It went great, and we'll see where it goes. Not too, like 5 minutes after I reached out to them, a LAN I casted Call of Duty for reached out to me to cast League of Legends. So I'm going to be doing
W.
that soon too. So it is so important that you have a presence on Twitter and that you're reaching out through Discords.
Yes.
The second biggest thing, have experience ready, have a caster reel, a resume, if you will. It's like, hey, this is what I've done, this is what I'm capable of doing, and this is why you should bring me on as a caster, as opposed to the hundreds of other people vying for an opportunity trying to cast themselves. Because it is a very competitive scene. We're it can be a bit cutthroat, dare I say, at times, but at the end of the day, when you're brought onto a cast and you're working with people that you've worked with in the past, or that they have maybe like passed over you in the past time, this is your moment. This is your time. You have to ignore what's happened in the past and focus on the future, because you're not going to get every opportunity. You're not going to be able to cast every LAN, every event, every match you want to, but it's making the most of the moments that you do get. Have a social media presence, have a caster reel. Do not hesitate to DM. I can't tell you how many DMs I've sent, how many messages I've sent that have just been ignored. There's going to be a lot
Mm-hmm.
of rejection, a lot of ghosting, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Bingo.
Reach out. If you want to cast with me or you want me to cast your event, I have a business email in my bio. My DMs are open. They are available. I can't guarantee I'm going to respond to you, but I'll try. Plain and simple. I'm going to try. And that's all you really have to do. At the end of the day, if you give up, you're giving up on yourself before you can really get going.
Absolutely agree 100%. And I love the point that you made where you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, because
I mean, that's
it's
applies to everything.
it applies to literally everything, whether it be in the content field, whether it be in a casting field, whether it be even in the production field. Like you got to put yourself out there in a positive light, and you learn how to do that over time. And guys, just remember that like if you're a new creator, nothing is instantaneous. It all is difficult work. Nothing is just going to be handed to you. You're just you want to continue to push yourself to the best of your ability, and doing so is networking properly, posting properly, giving yourself a proper network presence, putting yourself out there as an intellectual, and it's just so important. So if you had any last words to any new and aspiring creators before we wrap on up here, what would that be?
Don't get inside your own head.
Love it.
It's comparing yourself to others is the root of all jealousy. You're not going to be Ninja. You're not going to be Kai Cenat. You're not going to be Queso. It's not going to happen overnight, and it may not happen at all. The second you can accept that, you can just start having fun and having a good time, and then the rest is all just extra bonus. Do not compare yourself to the top guys, because you're not them. I'm not them. Percussive isn't them. The people in your circle aren't them, and they may never be, but there's always an opportunity to do that. But at the end of the day, stay out of your own head. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get that viral clip or you don't have that viral moment. And at the end of the day, try to remember that it's not your job. Have fun, because play games off stream. Play games not for making content, because at the end of the day, I've been in several situations where I'm like, why am I streaming this? Why am I doing this? And if you're asking yourself that too often, then you need to take a break and be like, I need to just have fun for once. I need to just play a few games off stream, grab a couple of your bros, your friends, meet some people online perchance, and just have fun. It may be a bit generic and it may be a bit cheesy, but I eat a bunch of dairy anyway, so deal with it.
Absolutely could not agree more. Definitely make sure that you're having fun if this is what you're trying to do. If you want to get into content creation, the all content comes from having fun and putting yourself in like super bright situations. Like even me offline, I play New World. Like no one knows I play New World because I don't stream it. But I'm level 56 now. Yeah, deal with it. I'm a badass bow and arrow player. So
boom.
Play those games offline. Make the connections that you never think you had, and don't ever be afraid to reach out and ask questions.
Yep.
Well,
either way, I just want to say thank you, Percussive, for having me on. Thank you for welcoming me into your community, and thank you for letting me yap as much as I needed to, because as a professional yapper, I do it a lot, and I don't like to hear myself talk, but I do like to yap. So thank you for having me on. Thank you to your community, and thank you for responding to my reply on the X. As simple as that, folks. And then collabs happened. Took 2 seconds to type that out, and that's all it takes. So thank you, Percussive, and I hope you have a wonderful night and a great rest of your weekend.
Hey, you as well, Big Rich. And a big shout out to Big Rich and band fam. If you are not following Big Rich, please make sure you are hitting that follow button. Please make sure you're going to check out his content. Show him the love like we always do. And
do it.
Big Rich, thank you once again for pulling up and sharing your journey and dropping some incredible knowledge about gaming, about casting, about content creation. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the PSP Podcast stands for Perk Spreads Positivity, and we could not spread positivity without our people here too. So, appreciate you all. Make sure you guys are following him and Reign Above. And as always, I'm your host, Percussive173, and until next time.
I found what I'm searching for. A little bit, I'll take some more. Pretty people on the floor. Pretty people on the floor.